Hi cuties! Haven't been live in a minute, but tonight I'm going live to give y'all the card reading for Capricorn season. We are in it. We have just transitioned out of Sagittarius season, which was a fire sign, and now we are, hi Brianna! Now we are in Capricorn season, which is an earth sign, but I would say of all the earth signs, Virgo and Taurus being the other two, Capricorn is the one that is the most flexible and has a little less of that traditional stubbornness that you can expect with the Virgo, who needs to plan everything and likes to have everything organized and has already analyzed everything and knows what needs to happen and will not budge, as well as the Taurus kind of grounded, stationary, like I have my things, I have my TV, I have my bed, I'm not moving. That kind of attitude. Capricorn is more fluid because it's, I think, part sheep and part kind of mermaid. It's got like a tail thing happening, and that for an earth sign means it kind of has a little bit more emotional depth, but also less stubbornness. And it's so interesting that we're in this season as we transition to the new year every year, because we need to stay grounded in the lessons that we've learned from this year, but we also need to be looking forward and be open to what the new year is going to bring us. So Capricorn knew what it was doing when it positioned itself right in that new year spot, because it's a really great vibe to take us through. And I'm going to be doing a card reading for the energies of the next 20 something days that we're going to be spending in Capricorn season. And that way we can find out exactly what kinds of lessons are coming up, as well as some of the obstacles that we might be facing. So if you need to leave at any point during the reading, then feel free to do so, because this is going to be up on the Vibrant Coven later on, and it's only $4 a month. I do this every single month. I always do a reading live, and that way everybody, oh, that's going to be a good one. This is our obstacle, I'm guessing. Any more? Yes, one more. Oh, okay. This is an active energy. Okay. I'm always putting these videos onto the Vibrant Coven, and then in the Coven, if you are in the Priestess tier, which is the second tier, you will get resources that pair with all the teachings from this video. So I summarize everything that goes on in these readings, as well as create a card reading spread that helps you dive deeper into your own personal version of what all of these energies look like. I create journal prompts for at the very end, and right in the middle, I always I create for this specific energy a coloring page that I upload for you to be able to print at home, and that way you have something that's really specific and that's really aligned with all of the things that we're going through right now. I really love doing this, and I'm hoping that some of y'all join me in that space, because Sarah and I have been enjoying ourselves, but we're like, we need some more we need some more sisters in there, we need some more friends in there, we need some more babes in there to join us, so that it's not just an echo chamber. It's nice to have a lot of different things going on so we can all learn from each other. So this is what we're going to be learning during Capricorn season, which has already started. And already This is crazy. Already, we have the learner card, which is the child of crystals. Crystals is headspace, mental energy. And the master, which is the sage of worlds, which is kind of environmental, physical, material energy. And it's interesting that we have the learner and the master that came out together. They're not even in the same suit. This one's in the worlds, this one is in the crystal. This is like pentacles, essential. Excuse me, this is essentially pentacles and this is essentially swords. They're in different tarot suits. It's like if a clubs and hearts cards came up and they said learner and teacher. And you were like, how did they end up in such different suits? They seem like they would be together, right? Like it would be a pair. I've never noticed that before, firstly. Secondly, the thing that I'm seeing is as a part of this inner child and sage, wise person, wise woman energy paired together, it's really telling me that the whole Capricorn being able to ground us as we move from one into the other is 100% spot on. It's almost like I didn't even need to pull these cards. But it's going to take us a little deeper because it's not just this year versus the next year, the upcoming year. It is the energies of this year, which adds up to the number 3. 3 is inner child energy in numerology, and that's what we've been healing through and what we've been growing through during 2019. 2020 is 4 energy, and that is putting the lessons that we learned into practice and accepting the challenge, knowing that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So it's not just going to be beginner's luck all the time. It's not just going to be smooth sailing all the time. Like a lot of parents want to convince their children that their lives will be like. I just had a conversation with my sister and her boyfriend today about how one of their grandmas was telling them, oh yeah, you keep kids in a safe little bubble and a safe little nest and you create a perfect world for them. And we were all scratching our heads at that, thinking, at what point do you enter the real world? At what point do you put into practice the things that you have discovered and the things that you've learned? And we've learned a lot this year. We've learned a lot this year. We've healed a lot this year. We've been reparenting. We've been creating and setting new healthy boundaries. We've been romancing ourselves. We've been ending toxic relationships or ending toxic patterns and habits. We've been acknowledging our self-worth. And that's one of the biggest things that you can do while healing your inner child, is feeling like not just I'm like learning these lessons because they're coming at me, but I'm learning these lessons because I am worthy of getting to the other side where these lessons will take me. Because we didn't learn anything from the Pythagorean theorem. We didn't learn anything about you. I mean, the majority of people, there are some people who I'm sure do use the Pythagorean theorem in their daily work, but the majority of people learned things that just didn't need to be learnt and didn't need to be absorbed. And it created a mistrust in us that, not all things that we learn are actually meant for us to use. But everything that life gives us, that life teaches us, that life hands us, as a challenge. This is your homework. You need to take this energy home with you, and you need to deal with it, and you just sit through it and address it like it's a problem that needs to be solved, and that the only right answer can come from how you feel. The only way that you know that you've passed is by whether or not you feel like you've learned something, whether or not you feel like you can take it and turn it into something practical. You can get some practicality from it. And that is why the child of crystals showed up and is saying we can do a lot of, I love this is what I'm looking at, is this child right here, who's looking at the discovery in his hands of all that he's learned. And then we have the masters who are actually using their hands to take that knowledge and make it practical, put it into the world, and see the world interact with the new thought patterns and the new belief systems and the new emotional boundaries. All of these things that we've been working through and developing are now things that we can put into practice and that we can use to build upon. Another big energy that is going to be taking place, that was the card that jumped out actually, is the Nine of Crystals. The Nine of Crystals, the narrowness card. And wow, it's amazing how much of this card I'm like actually really seeing now that I know what some more of these crystals on here are. It's so interesting, like working at a crystal shop and seeing them like up close and being able to identify them now. The biggest thing that I'm getting is this X here, and I'm trying to glean where this is taking us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the book, and we're going to see what it has to say about the Nine of Crystals, and that way, oh, we're at the end, that way we can get a little jumping point. So, the hardness and impenetrability of the crystal, though conferring stability and power, also isolate it. So the hardness and impenetrability of the mind also isolates it, even though it is stable and it is powerful. So here it goes. Similarly, your mind may be closed, insular, and inflexible. The crystals represent bars, symbolizing the restrictions you have placed on your thinking. Fixed and intolerant, you maintain a narrow-minded tunnel vision, represented by the shrunken tunnels and apertures through which you view the world. Narrowing the mind, however, is essential to concentration. Keep your focus and go deeply into subjects. Be thorough and not distracted. I think that was the message that we needed to hear at the very end is don't get distracted, and don't, because there's kind of like, this is the only space where there's like a whole bunch of clouds, and it's like, don't go getting your head too caught in the clouds. That's what 2019 was for, was that like inner child imagination energy. And during this part of Capricorn season, as we move into 2020, we're going to have to get a little bit more practical, like I said, and get a little bit more disciplined and recognize that at some point you have to put in the work. You can't keep dreaming and visualizing and planning forever. At some point, your mind has to stop spinning. At some point, the manifestation needs to just turn into like the engineering portion where you just do the work, go to work. Oh, interesting. So we have primarily crystals cards, which is mental energy, and worlds cards, because there's another worlds card that just came up for Capricorn season. So this has to do a lot with our egos getting in the way, because that's where our ego lives, is in the mind. And our ego is made up of all of the voices of our peers and our guardians growing up and our role models and all of the people whose voices we've absorbed over the years, and phrases and beliefs. Everything that we've absorbed, we take into our our mental sponge, essentially, and that's what comes back out during is going to come back out during Capricorn season. The other thing that we're dealing with is a lot of relationship changes, a lot of career changes, a lot of physical home changes. So be prepared. Be wary of whenever things seem like they might be kicking you out, or something is telling you to leave. Just go. Don't fight it. Be totally direct. Be totally direct with yourself. Trust yourself, because the very last card, which is the obstacle card, is the Four of Worlds, which is the commencement card. And the commencement card very often means it is the beginning of some kind of challenge. It's the beginning of some new active, dynamic energy. So we're moving out of the stagnation. I feel like for some reason during Sagittarius season we had a little bit of stagnation, at least for me, maybe because I'm a Pisces, and so the water sign energy was not mixing well with the fire, but I feel like the stagnation has lifted, and one of our greatest obstacles might be in knowing what moves you want to make, but being too afraid to just call the shots and make those decisions when you know they're the right decisions. Sometimes it does not pay off to wait until something or someone else kicks you out. If their energy and their vibes are saying, we don't want you here, I don't want you here, I don't appreciate you, I don't respect you, you know what that feels like. You know what that feels like. In your gut, you can sense that there's something off, there's something wrong, and there's nothing like good old animal instinct to tell you that when you smell smoke, that means there's fire, and that you should turn the other way, because otherwise you'll get burned. And the way that we can approach this energy, the best way that I can see is by figuring out what you're really afraid will happen if you're the one who calls the shots. Because very often we want to be in control of the things that we have control over, but we don't realize that we have control over things that we're giving our power to other people for. And especially during this new moon ring of fire solar eclipse that's happening on the 26th on Thursday, it's a really great time to address those fears and to address kind of your own wall of fire that you're afraid to pass through and that you're afraid to walk through because you're not sure that it's going to be better or safer than just staying where you're at. And like I said, this video is going to be up in the Vibrant Coven, but if you want to participate in the 3-day ritual that's starting tomorrow, then be sure to join. All you need to do is pop in as a basic witch, and that will grant you access to a whole bunch of content that's already on there, as well as new content every single week, every single month that will continue to do things like this. Pinpoint areas where you might find tension so that when you see it, you can be hyper aware, you can be meta aware, you can step back from the thing that's actually happening and have a conversation with yourself about what's happening. And if that sounds like something that appeals to you, then you should definitely come join us and get the full benefit of all of these resources that I'm here providing for personal growth, for accessing your special version of what magic looks like to you, helping you magnetize what is actually meant for you so that you can serve your purpose and continue to level the fuck up. I hope you joined the Vibrant Coven. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or if you would like your own card reading, head to the link in my bio. There you can either join the Vibrant Coven or you can book your own card reading. And especially for the new year, it's great to know what foot you're starting off with and how you can address some of the things that you're experiencing now so that later on they're not gonna snowball into even bigger issues. You can do this. You are deserving of all the love you desire. I love you so much. Have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your night.